Evening, people. Evening, people. Welcome, welcome. It's been a day of full of updates, and that's why I thought I'd jump on and have a bit of a catch up with the BNR family. And since you're all on cloud nine since last night, I thought, you know what, it's the perfect time to have a little early evening chit chat between myself and the chat. Already, there's 200 people in the chat. Smash a like. You're all in a good mood since yesterday. You weren't in a good mood in the 99th minute yesterday, but wow, what an atmosphere, what an ending, what a finale, an occasion, what a goal, what a finish. Anything else you want to add to that, then be my guest. But what a game. What a game. I thought we were cruising at 2-0. We should have been cruising a lot more, but you have to give credit to Newcastle. But we'll talk about the game later on. I know what you all want to talk about is Alexander Isak, and that's what I'm here to talk about. We'll talk about Alexander Isak and we'll talk about the game later on as well. But it's a big welcome to you all. There's 300 people already in the building. You know what? I've just seen a Man United fan in the chat, and I know what he's saying. By that'll be a load of rubbish to a lot of you. But Mr. Irfan from Halifax is in the building, and you know what? He always messages me. He doesn't message me often because Liverpool don't drop points or lose, especially in recent times. But when we do, he does message me, and I can guarantee you he had some messages in the drafts ready for me. But Irfan, just delete those messages, and we'll chat soon anyway. Good to see you in the building. Hope you and family are well. Gene in the building doing the admin role today. Go on, Gene. 300 already plus already in the building. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, head over to BNR Ultra. I hope you're all enjoying the new studio and new setup as well. Time did you start? Did you start? Was you early? No, not really. Not really, but it's not bad. We started about 2-3 minutes ago. That's early for me. I like to just get the people, gathered in the building. So it's not late. I'm sure you all can smash a like whilst you're waiting. But let's head over. There's so much to talk about. Isak, all the dominoes falling one by one. David Ornstein has been busy chatting about Alexander Isak. Fabrizio Romano says he is really pushing, not himself, as in Fabrizio himself, but more importantly, Alexander Isak is pushing and fighting to get his desired move to Liverpool this summer. Let's share some of those, chat, and then we'll break it down. I'll give my opinion as to what I think is happening right now in the Alexander Isak transfer. So about 6 hours ago, we got a tweet that I can happily rely on Josh aggregating. He said from Lee Ryder, attempts to get Isak to stay at Newcastle took place at the striker's home yesterday, but the Sweden international is sticking to his guns and wants to leave the club. It was talked about a lot yesterday that the owners were at the club, and at the game in discussing, and maybe it's a bit too early for a knock on the door for Halloween, but Alexander Isak himself got a knock on the door. It's all we're talking about. When do Liverpool knock on Newcastle's door and bid and make that official, formal second offer to Newcastle? But it's not exactly Halloween yet. But Alexander Isak got a knock on his door from the Newcastle owners, and they were in town. For me, and as it's been reported now today, it was always a last ditch type of meeting. And as Ali plainly and very simply puts it, he said F off in a nice way. I'm sure he didn't say it exactly like Ali saying it, but that is what Alexander Isak did. He just confirmed his desire and made sure that it's again reiterated to the hierarchy at Newcastle that he wants to join Liverpool. And you know what? We did not expect anything less. Why would you? Because this is now reaching the business end of, well, we don't have much time left, 6 days. And why would Alexander Isak change his mind after going through what he did or has done all summer? Then Newcastle, look, from their perspective, I cannot blame him. What blame? Not I can't blame him as well, but I can't blame the club. If you're the hierarchy, if you're the owners of the club, setting a massive project, you want to portray a narrative that you mean business. That was talk about. Do these owners care? Craig Hope, who have we been talking about a lot this summer. I think he said it. He came out with a video about 2-3 months ago himself. Do these owners care? So I think they have to save face, and it was a last ditch attempt to save face or to sort of convince him to stay at the club. And you know what? Big up to him and big up to his team that they have remained strong in their stance. And a lot of players would have just said, look, I've made my decision. I don't want to give you the time. You know my feelings. I've come out with a massive Instagram, a big, massive public statement about a week ago. You know my feelings, and they haven't changed. And you know what? He gave them the time. He gave them the respect that said, you know what? If you want to come to my house, then I'll be more than happy. And I'm sure he gave them a bit of iron brew or a bit of Arab coffee just to make them feel comfortable before. Oh, how we all wish we were a fly on the wall within those conversations. But look, it was a last ditch attempt. I tweeted early that if those conversations or that meeting went in the direction, even a millimeter in the direction of Newcastle, the reporting would have been a lot more positive from all their journalists. And you know what? It hasn't. And they've kind of stayed on the fence this morning that we don't know the outcome. But believe you me, I think they do know the outcome. That Alexander Isak has told them that he still wishes to go to Liverpool this summer. And just to reiterate that point, if it went in the direction of Newcastle, the reporting would have been very, very different. And if it did have some sort of success, that Alexander Isak has remained or they've convinced him to stay at Newcastle, as I tweeted earlier, that reporting would have got leaked or it would have been out there within seconds that Alexander Isak has had a change of heart, and Newcastle will make sure the next week or two is all spent and channeling towards him getting reintegrated into the team. And a club statement would have been out, but it hasn't. And if you're a Liverpool fan, that it can only mean good news. So let's go to, I think Keith Downey has been reporting on the matter as well. He had something quite a bit to say on the matter. We'll keep scrolling up. I think this is it. Alex Crook, he also said, I still think we will see another bid from Liverpool, a British record offer between now and next Monday. I think they're going to test Newcastle's resolve, and we know Newcastle are fighting darts in terms of strikers into the club. They are still keen to sign Wissa. They have had a bid rejected to Larson, but sources up in the Midlands at Molineux expect a follow-up offer. They will also have been offered a chance to sign Dusan Vlahovic. Wow. If they can get a couple of strikers in, or certainly at least one striker, I feel there could be a twist in the Isak tale. Now, I agree with the second part. I'm at a stage myself where I don't even think Newcastle will be seeing, this is opinion only, where it will only matter if Newcastle have to get two strikers. I believe Liverpool will make a move, and I've had this opinion for the last week or two, the moment Newcastle get one striker in. That's where I am at. Even though Jacob Ramsey replaced Joe Linton, I think it was last night, and it was a like-for-like replacement in midfield, I think they could use Jacob Ramsey if the worst-case scenario, if they only get one attacker. We also know that Anthony Gordon has been playing down the middle this season, in the games that in the Premier League and in pre-season. I think they will want to, and I agree with Jazzy, they will want to, and that's the ideal situation for Newcastle. But I don't think it's a matter of they have to get two strikers for them to facilitate a move for Isak, and that's just my opinion. I think Liverpool will take that as enough encouragement to make a move. for the striker. And whilst negotiations are taking place, we've still got 6 days. Let's say, for example, argument's sake, what is it today? Tuesday. Liverpool make a move on Thursday. Between Thursday and Monday, Newcastle could get one striker, could get two strikers. But when they make their move, they will see Newcastle have at least got one striker through the door. Now, that doesn't mean that Newcastle have to have Wissa holding a Newcastle shirt. Liverpool will internally know that they've got Wissa through the door, and they are just left to complete the formalities on that one. And then you've got someone like a Strand Larson getting completed as well. The feeling was that Wolves don't want to sell. They have no intention to sell. But that narrative and that news and that feeling has changed over the course of the last 2-3 days, and the feeling amongst a lot of the people that you talk to is around 60 million pounds. We think that gets done. We all obviously know that 50 million pound bid has been rejected by Wolves, but money talks, and it's all about the food chain and how we're treating Newcastle. With all due respect, that we're superior to them in every single sense when it comes to football. They're a bigger club, and Strad Larson going, whether he wants to replace Wilson, whether he thinks can be the number one choice for Newcastle. Remember, he got 14 goals in the Premier League, and he's a decent little player, and that is a big, massive move. It's a big step up for someone like him, and Newcastle will think that he is that kind of player that can take him and carry the burden for him. But he's still very young, obviously, but it is a hefty fee for him. Let's be honest, 60 to 70 million pounds. It does seem a big, massive inflated fee. But let's be honest, that is probably the reason why Newcastle are publicly putting it out there that they want 150 million pounds. And if you're going to believe a lot of the journalists, although I didn't care what Liverpool at this moment, when you've got 6 days for the window to end, I don't care what fee Liverpool pay for Alexander Isak. What the realistic sorry about that, I removed the wrong one. What the realistic fee will be, a lot of people are talking about 130 million pounds. How that is, or how is that structured, is anyone's guess. How, is it going to be 130 million pound plus another 5 to 10 million pounds in add-ons, or does it just include the add-ons and is 130 million pounds all in? We shall soon find out. I think there's a general consensus amongst a lot of the people that are reporting in regards to Alexander Isak, the fan base amongst Liverpool, amongst Liverpool fan base, and across in the Northeast, there is a feeling and there's an acceptance that Liverpool will come. That I always said it, that Liverpool will come for Alexander Isak, and it was just basically them showing, whether it was a signal towards Newcastle that we don't want to pay 150 million pounds, whether it was just them trying to initiate, starting talks, starting negotiations, and starting at a figure of around 110 million pounds, and then going up to 120, 25 million pounds, and going towards the 130 million pounds, which a lot of you think is the magic figure. Then we shall soon find out. But I think that is coming any day now, because we have been talking about an acceptance and a deal in principle, as Cam points out. This is the reason why I didn't think, and I have to admit again, the 627 people in the building, although I did say there is a deal in principle, I quickly accepted and held my hands up. I probably chose the wrong words. I don't think there is a deal in principle. And the right way to describe it was, as I corrected myself straight away, was that there's an acceptance of both sides, and you can still have an acceptance from the Newcastle side, but keep on trying in the meantime to convince the player to stay. And that is exactly what Newcastle have been doing over the last 2-3 weeks. And although it does seem like it's been 2-3 years, it's been the longest transfer saga running. of recent times, and hopefully for Liverpool's sake, it comes to an end with Alexander Isak in a red shirt. Um, let's see any more stuff coming out. It has been really busy, although a lot of the guys who have been coming out with the Alexander stuff, they have been very, very similar. Let's see what Kid Downey on Sky Sports has been saying. It will be interesting to see what comes out of that meeting, whether it was a case of a last try, which we've just discussed as a last ditch attempt to convince the player from PIF to try and convince Isak to stay, or was it a discussion to say yes, you could actually leave for Liverpool? I don't think it's written in stone as to whether he will remain or leave. If he was to leave for Liverpool between now and Monday's deadline, it will be for a Premier League transfer record. Newcastle are working furiously in the background to line up a couple of replacements. And this is, again, and this is a very, very interesting fact now. About 4 or 5 days ago, Craig Hope and a few others, Luke Edwards has been banging that drum for a while now, that Newcastle have made a decision. They are not letting Alexander Isak leave, despite all his, him kicking up a fuss all summer, that they will look to him to get reintegrated into the team and all that sort of stuff. And the reason why I did not believe it is because you can't have both. You cannot have such a firm stance, but also in public, because you can't, it doesn't matter how much you want to work in silence. You cannot hide the fact that you've been scurrying around Europe to try and find replacements. And as much as you want to sugarcoat it as this player Larson is a Callum Wilson replacement, Jacob Ramsey is a Callum Wilson replacement, Wissa is a Callum Wilson replacement. How many Callum Wilson replacements do you guys want and do you guys need? So you can sugarcoat it as much as you want. We always read between the lines exactly what Newcastle were trying to do in the last 2-3 weeks, and also from the moment they moved for Hugo Ekitike. That was the moment that they accepted as a club that, you know what, Isak is going to leave or is wanting to leave, and he's been very, very firm in his stance. And that is the moment Liverpool made the move that they wanted both, and they had done the groundwork. And obviously we saw them losing out on a million deals, the Jackson deal, and then the Shesko deal to Man United. So this has just been another dance, another play from the Newcastle journalists to hold the narrative and maybe save face. But the Newcastle fans, the guys who have been coming into the chat, and a lot of people online as well, there's trolls. Obviously, we just take them with a pinch of salt. But there's a lot of Newcastle fans who have accepted that the moment that they moved for Ekitike and they started talking about this is a chance for Eddie Howe to look change system and playing a 4-4-2, that was a load of nonsense from day one. And everybody with a brain cell knew it was a load of nonsense. Let's keep on moving. They are very active. They are still trying to sign players this window. I think that is because there's a decent chance that Isak could leave between now and Monday's deadline. A lot can change in the next 5 days. It's a very fluid situation at St. James's Park right now. Again, very, very, interesting as how the narrative is not slightly, but softened a lot in the last 3-4 days. These guys, the same journalists, were all pushing the narrative that there's a massive chance now for Isak to stay at Newcastle, and the owners are going to stand firm and set an example and all that sort of stuff. But in the last 72 hours, the narrative has changed. And why has that changed? For me, I think Newcastle know that this player is going to leave. And for me, I've always been of the opinion that Eddie Howe wants the money. Eddie Howe is a very respectable guy who wants the changing room, and he knows how these sagas that last the whole summer can affect the changing room. We've seen Bruno Guimaraes with some cryptic tweets on Instagram putting some graphics out. Anthony Gordon, even though there was a lot of irony with Anthony Gordon doing an interview, because he was the player who literally was crying out and telling the whole world that he's off to Liverpool. And let's be honest, if you really ask Anthony Gordon where he wants to play football, he'll probably tell you deep down it's going to be Liverpool. But maybe that ship has sailed for now. But I genuinely believe, and it's opinion only, that Alexander Isak will be a Liverpool player before the window shuts on the 1st of September. As we said earlier, Isak is still fighting to join Liverpool. He is pushing Fabrizio Romano. Let's keep on scrolling up. Here we are. Who's this by? Luke Edwards. Alexander Isak remains adamant he wants to leave Newcastle United despite the intervention of chairman Yasser Al-Rumayyan, who is keen to broker a deal that leads to the striker remaining at the club. Telegraph Sport understands that Isak has repeated his desire to be allowed to join Liverpool. A public investment fund delegation, along with co-owner Jamie Rubin, met with the player at his home on Monday, but there does not seem to have been any progress made in getting the player to return to training. Let's keep on moving. A bit more of Romano. Lee Ryder attempts to get Isak to stay at Newcastle to place a striker's home yesterday, but the Sweden international is sticking to his guns and wants to leave the club. Craig Hope is not Isak is not affected by the noise and remains intent. So it's all the noise and the news that's coming out of the meeting. And let's be honest, these guys are trying to sugarcoat it. They know this is another defeat. And let's be honest, if you were the Newcastle owners, would you have wanted this meeting to get out and get leaked? I don't think it is, because if you're a Newcastle owner, Al-Rahman or Jamie Rubin, you're knocking on that Alexander Isak door, and do you really think they had that belief that they're going to convince the player? I don't think so. But they had to do it because of the situation of the striker situation. It's not a great market. Wolves won a lot of money. Wissa is still, 50-50, even though the feeling is that he's going to join Newcastle eventually. But a player of that magnitude, you still have a last-ditch attempt to try to, save the situation. He's a manager struggling to naturally focus his players, because as professional as you are, this has affected the Newcastle changing room, and we've seen proof of that, as I touched on in the last 3-4 weeks. Let's get through Ismail's super chat. Ismail, thank you so much. Isak's right, your fans are shy. Bring him home. There are a few chants flying around in the way end yesterday. I recorded some, I put them out last night as quickly as possible, and all my Twitter has been full of Newcastle fans giving me abuse. But as I know, the moment I came on Twitter, if you don't have a good chin on Twitter, then Twitter or X is not the place for you. But Ismail, thank you so much for your super chat. He asks if there is a show tonight. Yes, I think Ben's back in the building, Sheen's back, I'm back. We'll try to get Jake on. Avi is on holiday, chilling in Canada. And once he's back, I'm sure we'll see Avi on our screens as well. But we'll try to get Aki as well and make it a bit of a Fab Five and talk about the great Rio and Gomorrah and what a moment that was. But there's still nearly 700 people in the chat. Please smash a like, subscribe to the channel, head over to BNR's membership, become a BNR Ultra. It's $4.99 a month, just what Ismail paid with that super chat. And we've already started recording exclusive content that's going to come your way with all the BNR Ultra area. So please smash a like, subscribe to the channel, and all of that good stuff. If you've got a question for me, I always like to make these the shows that I'm alone on as engaging as possible. So there's 700 of you here. Send in your questions. It doesn't have to be about Isak. It can be about Mark Gahey. It can be about anything. If you want to talk about the game, have any questions about the game, then ask me I'm happy to take any question you like. Hussein is in the chat. I think Hussein was at the game yesterday. He tagged me, I think, on Twitter. He looked like he was in some like corporate settings, but if it was Hussein, fair play. Hope you enjoyed it. Gehi Asim question mark 100%, 100%. My feelings, my thoughts, my predictions, unless something I hear something, I see something, a massive journalist comes out with something very reliable, then obviously you have to accept it. But the situations, the nature of Isak, the nature of Gehi are similar in many ways, but also very different, because Crystal Palace need to sell. There's been talk about they need him, or Glasner has come out and said he wants him to play in the second game. So maybe we just move on Gehi post Thursday. I think the second leg, correct me if I'm wrong, is after Thursday, isn't it? So I think we could move for him before Hussein, before Thursday, sorry. But I think Margehi will be a Liverpool player. I think we'll shake hands on a compromised figure, and then we'll box it off. Is it the game today? People are saying he's on the bench, but are you talking about Strand Larson? Are they playing today? Are they playing some League Cup game? Okay. Please let me know who's playing today. Is it Wolves? Yeah, Wolves. Question. Sanj, big up Sanj. Thank you so much for sending this through. Please help me to become a BNR Ultra. I want to join. When I click the link, nothing is happening. Okay, are you clicking the link that's pinned in the chat? If you are, then just message me on Twitter and I'll send you a link that hopefully should work. So yeah, apologies. I'll get that link checked. Maybe it's a lot of you who are having problems, but normally you can go to the main page and there'll be a section of membership, and you just become a member. And once you become a Bina Ultra, send me your. Actually, I'll remember your YouTube name, and I'll send you the BNR Ultra WhatsApp group as well. The moment you become a BNR Ultra, right. Ads. Asim, when do you think a bid goes in? Days are passing by. Look, I think we've seen not significant movement, but significant talk today. Maybe Newcastle, New Liverpool are going to come after the game. We're talking about there's an acceptance on both sides that the deal will get done. I also think and fair play to Jake, who's been mentioning it all summer, that there's an acceptance or a feeling that Liverpool will make a move after the game. The business will be done after the game. Newcastle, they want to be seen, or if they lose a player of this magnitude, they will try to save face as much as possible. And this is the reason why I mentioned this meeting that got leaked in the papers. I don't think it serves the Newcastle hierarchy well. So when do you think the bid goes in? I think there's significant talk of it today. And it's a good sign for when Liverpool make a move. I think if you want me to predict, let's say worst case scenario, we're on Friday and Newcastle still have not bought a striker, or not on the verge of someone heading up to Newcastle for a medical or anything like that. I would go as far as and predict, and it might get rejected because of the fact that Newcastle have not got anyone lined up. And my prediction is Liverpool will make a move regardless around Thursday, Friday, over the weekend. Why? Because I think Liverpool have put all their eggs in one basket, that they have to go and make a move. And all this talk about Liverpool are waiting for encouragement. Yeah, I get that. But I think if you move with encouragement, then you might deal around 125 million pounds, 130 million pounds. Why? Because Newcastle are accepting, Newcastle are facilitating a move. They've tried all their best to get Isak to stay at the club, but they've got the number one option, they've got number two option, a Wissa, a Larson, or anyone else, and then they can get the 125, 130 million pounds bid. If Newcastle don't, and it's Friday and it's Saturday, Newcastle have shown no sign no success of getting someone in, I can still see Liverpool making a move for Alexander Isak. I don't believe what Arne Slot said this week around we're kind of happy with the 6 options, because only 5 days or 6 days before that, he was talking about Liverpool are after at least one striker. And I think Mr. Slot, as great as he is on the pitch and off the pitch and all in the press conferences, I think he's got a bit of a telling off from Mr. Richard Hughes and Michael Edwards saying, you know what, lower expectations. If the manager is talking about Liverpool looking for at least one attacker, it not only cranks up the pressure needle of Liverpool bringing in 1 or 2 strikers in or attackers in, and it also drives up the price that Newcastle know. Arne Slot is talking about Liverpool looking for at least one attacker. And I think Arne Slot, opinion only, I'm not basing it on any information. I think he's got a bit of a slap on the wrist from the Liverpool hierarchy, just to lower expectations. But I go back to my prediction. If there is no official encouragement for Newcastle to bring in 1 or 2 options, I think Liverpool will bid for Alexander Isak regardless. But the difference between that then is they might have to pay or get close to that 150 million pounds. So that is just a theory. That is opinion. Let me know what you think about it. And it'll be good to get your thoughts. I'm sure you'll be itching to share what you think about the Isak situation. Rehan asks, big up Rehan, always supporting the channel. He asks, what's the percentage in regards to Isak, I presume? I'm at 100%. I'm at 100%. And again, it's opinion only. I think Alexander Isak, I have no doubt that he becomes a Liverpool player. And I think we're just waiting for some moving parts to officially become official. And Liverpool will move officially because of that acceptance is there on both sides. Even now, they've been trying the last-ditch attempts because, like I reiterate, you can still have an acceptance of this deal will take place. But as the selling club, you can still try to convince the player to stay and then to suddenly pick up the phone to Liverpool. The players had a change of heart and, we move on. But Liverpool will not move away unless they get that call from Alexander Isak. And Isak will not move away from his stance until he gets that call from Liverpool saying, you know what, Newcastle have been so-and-so's, they're making it very, very difficult for us, and we're moving away. That conversation has not happened both ways, and that's very, very encouraging if you're a Liverpool fan. Yeah, if you want to call it Isak feelings, you can call it Isak feelings. If you want to call it Asim Bomber, you can call it whatever you like. Rehan's back. I want you to fight Kanate. We'll talk about the game tonight, Rehan. We'll talk about the game tonight. But yeah, there'll be some thoughts about Kanate. I tweeted in the car on the way down from the game in regards to him. I've been talking about, as you guys who watch the show on a regular basis, I've been talking about it for a long time, that the on the ball responsibility has increased, and I think that has put an extra burden and pressure on Isak, and that has created even more pressure off the ball as well, mentally. And talking about mental fatigue and mental pressure, the contract situation combined with all the other pressures that he's got with Trent leaving, it cannot be doing him any good. So he's not in a good place, whether it's a technical level. And people were telling me yesterday, and I'll talk about it in further detail, that we've seen him carry the ball at times. You have to understand the way that Matip used to carry the ball. To be fair to him, he used to carry the ball in an unorthodox way at times, in a Matip kind of way, but he's very good at it. Kanate has done it at Anfield generally, not in away games, especially in big grounds. Why? Because you need a different type of technical ability. how you carry the ball at Anfield when, for example, teams sit off and they press Van Dijk, so he cannot make that switch to Salah, and they basically channel the ball to Kanate, but they're setting off as a team. But Kanate driving into that space is a completely different scenario to someone like Newcastle pressing our team, pressing our defense aggressively, and then the defender, as in Kanate in this situation, coming in to midfield. If you want an example of that, go watch someone like Saliba, where he's getting pressed and he comes, whether it's a drop of a shoulder, it's a little movement, a technical movement, and he comes into midfield and beats the press and makes the pitch open. That is a completely different type of carry and technical level to someone like Matip or even Kanate, who drives into a vacated space by a team that is sitting off and not pressing, and then the defender carries it into midfield. That is a completely different situation. Ads asks, does Gehi offer that? I think he does. I think Gehi is a better technical footballer than Konate. And I always said Konate is one of the best, a world-class channel defender. When you gave him that role and he had clarity, he was, for me, one of the best players in the world in that specific role. But that specific role has changed now, and he's got an extra responsibility. And that's why, and what's alarming Liverpool fans, including myself, is he doesn't look the same in duels. So that responsibility or the contract situation, or even maybe hopefully a loss of confidence or loss of form that we think just it's a short-term problem, hopefully he sorts it out. We cannot judge Ibu Konate on a couple of games. Let's see. He deserves a chance to sort it out. But one good thing Liverpool are going to do, hopefully, in the next 6 days, is bring in Mark Gehi, which will increase that technical level across the back line. We've got a new member in the house. Thank you so much to Stanley Tiago. Thank you so much to Stanley. He's become a BNR Ultra. Please message me on X and I'll send you the BNR Ultra link. Thank you so much. Keep liking, keep subscribing to the channel and all that good stuff, people. Let me go to a few more thoughts on Wirtz. I don't want to cover all the players tonight, people, but I'm not worried. Just a little summary for you. I'm not worried about the form of Wirtz. What I would say about Wirtz is, as a start, he probably, arguably speaking, has played against the two most aggressive teams in different ways and in similar ways as well, in Bournemouth and Newcastle. They are very aggressive, and these probably, I've not looked at the stats, but I would not be surprised if Newcastle and Bournemouth are top of those charts over the course of a season, or at least top 5 when it comes to high turnovers. And what's happening is he's losing the ball when he tries something. The number 10 will always be more expressive, because when he gets it right, he will be creating a lot more chances. But what we have to do for Florian Wirtz is create an environment. And at the moment, I don't think we're creating an environment for Florian Wirtz to flourish. At the moment, and it happened a lot of the time, where he had to come so deep to help and facilitate Liverpool bypassing the aggressive press. And at times, we ended up just going long to Cody Gakpo, which I would have liked Cody Gakpo to win that ball against Trippier, because for me, that is a mismatch. But he did have a good level of success as well, that we just won that, got throwing out away, or won the second ball out of it, or flicked it on for someone running into that vacated space after Gakpo wins a duel with Trippier, and then we've developed an attack. But if Wirtz is coming so deep, then he has to go and connect play when we go along to someone like Cody. So I think, again, Bournemouth and Newcastle will make it very, very difficult for you. And look, I'm not worried. He's a natural footballer. We've seen better players than Florian Wirtz, let's be honest, come and struggle at first with the physicality and the pace of the league. And he will be under no illusion that this is the sort of league that he came into, and this is the sort of pace that he was was expecting. But the manager will be patient with him. He'll make sure that we will provide him the foundation and the environment to flourish. So don't worry about it. The good news is that Mohamed Salah has not been the Mohamed Salah of previous 8-9 years, and Florian Wirtz has not been the Florian Wirtz of the previous 3-4 years, and we've still got 6 points on the board. There are deficiencies, there are structural deficiencies and problems, some dual problems as well, personnel problems that are causing these structural deficiencies. But we have to give the manager time. I pointed them out because we're here to analyze, but we also have to provide a balanced perspective to things as well. So let's keep an eye on them, but also provide a bit of benefit of the doubt and let people just get used to things in this league. Asim butchered Eze's name. I'm not even mentioned Eze. Okay, Eze. Eze Stanley Thiago. Okay, I'm so sorry, Eze. We've got an Eze. Arsenal have got an Eze. Well, Liverpool have got an Eze in the building as well. So I am very, very sorry. I thought, bloody hell, I'm not even talking about Eze. He's gone to Arsenal. But so sorry. Eze has become a BNR Ultra. Thank you so much for your support. Yeah, Rihan. I am in awe of Virgil van Dijk last night. What a player. What a player. At times, although Szoboszlai does, he was a close call for Liverpool's best player as well. Whether you wanted to give it to Virgil, whether you wanted to give it to Rio, he had an unbelievable cameo and he deserved it just for that finish. But if we're really being honest, I think it was between Virgil van Dijk or Dominic Szoboszlai. And now you guys know why I wanted Dominic Szoboszlai to do right back shifts. And what I would say, if you think Liverpool have got build-up problems, and Szoboszlai played well, he was one of the big plus points yesterday. Just imagine, with all due respect to someone like Bradley playing at right back and Frimpong playing at right back, who will give you the intensity. And this is the reason why I was saying that Szoboszlai is a good halfway house between a conventional right back in someone like a Bradley, but a unicorn in someone like Trent's ability to provide deep progression. Why? Because in Szoboszlai, you've got that deep progression who can ping it, who can place it in midfield, but he's also got an unbelievable engine, probably a bigger and better engine than someone like Frimpong and Bradley. He might not be as quick as them, but his engine and stamina and counter press from those situations and defensive IQ is as good as anybody in the league. So, and appetite, I should call it, his defensive appetite is as good as anyone in the team. So I think you'll see Dominic Szoboszlai a lot more in right back positions, whether it's a strategic move from Arne Slot, or if it's something to do with Frimpong and Bradley's injury record. But honestly, I could not be more chuffed for Dominic Szoboszlai. He's a guy who took a bit of stick, let's be honest, and still takes a bit of stick. But I'm glad that there's a lot of fans and his doubters have become the believers in Dominic Szoboszlai's ability. My agenda, my message is just do not judge footballers on basically output or how many goals he gets, how many output assists he gets, because every team needs a Dominic Szoboszlai. And I'm not saying that he's a Henderson, because I believe he's got a lot more ability than someone like a Jordan Henderson. But even every team needs a Jordan Henderson, because you have to provide the foundation for your stars to excel in, and that's what Dominic Szoboszlai will do. And once we're in these conditions, and he will play against teams even from a right back position where you're not as aggressive as Newcastle, where you're setting off and he's playing literally as a right-sided number 10, then he can still provide a delivery from that position or a thunderbolt and get on the show on the score sheet as well. Right. Where are we? Selection is in the house. Thank you so much, Selection. It feels like I'm saying thank you so much to the likes of Rehan and Selection and a few others who keep sending us super chats. Honestly, most kind. And we could not thank you enough. But he says Trent and Konate balanced out each other's deficiencies, 100%. More being asked of him on the ball. I think he means absence of trends is also hurting Salah too, in my opinion. Yeah, I talked about the balance and the service and the dynamic between Trent and Kanate selection. But you make a good point. How many times when we were playing shite, did Trent just get on the ball, move it a yard, and whip a ball down the channel, and Salah spun and got in behind and finished it off within a blink of an eye. We were, we got a goal. That speed of attack we have lost, and even Dominic Soboslai doesn't have that, channel ball. He has a whip into midfield. He has a ping for 70 yards, but I've not seen that channel ball from him yet. Maybe Salah needs to make that more movement. Maybe he needs to build a bit more trust between someone like him. But he's playing with three different right backs in a short space of time. So look, that dynamic and that relationship hopefully comes. I don't doubt Dominic Szoboszlai cannot play that, because I think he does have a range, the full range of passing. But Trent, there was no one better at it. And you're right, 100%. I think that relationship between Trent and Salah was telepathic at times. So let's see what happens. And you're 100% right. And you also have to factor in that we're trying to get Florian Wirtz, the guy who what we're going through. But every time Wirtz has got into that position, he has put it out to Salah, and who creates that isolation and then allows him to express himself, whether it's a take on, whether it's a Ravella to the back post, whether he cuts inside and plays it to the back post, or simply who has got movement around him and plays the ball for the underlapping or the overlapping right back. So I think we just need to make sure we provide the foundation. But I think we're not controlling games yet. But we have to remember and keep reminding ourselves that Bournemouth and Newcastle will make it difficult for all the big sides. Just taking Newcastle as an example, people, City drew there last season, Arsenal lost, and we drew 3-3 as well. So Newcastle are gonna, doesn't matter who they play, that crowd, that team, that manager, that intensity and that physicality from all their players is gonna make the best sides really, really suffer. Did I expect Liverpool to suffer as much as they did? I can't lie, no. But you have to give credit to someone like Eddie Howe. I tweeted earlier that when the moment they went down to 10 men, he still kept a structure of 4-3-2, and he kept Barnes and kept Elanga high up the field with a 2. And not only they allowed Liverpool not just to ping it up and come on the halfway line and control proceedings and pin Newcastle in, and then get, playing a 4-4-1 or a 4-5-0, and then, Ibu and Verge are literally on a 2v1 situation where they just win every single duel, and they just keep coming at the opposition, where Liverpool get 3rd, 4th, 5th. It could have easily been damage limitation situation for Eddie Howe, but he kept those 2, and I believe that was the catalyst for them to stretch Liverpool and really make us suffer and get the opportunity to win those set pieces or throwings or corners. And I think that what summed it up, and I'll mention it later, where I saw Harvey Elliott and Rio, and they were waiting for about 7-8 minutes to get on the pitch, and they simply didn't get on, is because they're two small lads, and it felt like for all those 7-8 minutes that they didn't come on, that Arne Slot were just wanting to get up the pitch for 2 small lads to get on the pitch and hopefully affect the play higher up the pitch. But it just did not happen. You're telling me breaking news? Anfield sector, Matteo Moretto, who I trust a lot. I think he's an unbelievable journalist, if I'm honest. Here we are. Zach, thank you so much. Newcastle have been offered Roma striker Artem. How am I pronouncing that? Dovjic. Is that good enough for you people? No negotiations or advance talks. Contacts have only been indirect or through intermediaries. Okay. It looks like the whole world knows Newcastle are after a striker. Why not? The owners have knocked on Alexander Isak's door. It looks like Roma have knocked on Newcastle's door and offered him Artem. I'm not going to try to pronounce his surname again. So yeah, I'm calling him Artem. Ali says there is more. Share with me, people. Put it in the chat and I can paste it instead of me scrolling through Twitter. Where is it, man? I'm trying to find more. Ali, tell me. I sent it to you. There's nothing more. Okay, sector. Let's go to sector. 2 hours ago. Nothing. Okay, even though Newcastle are interested in Premier League strikers. Hussein just sent it to me now. Newcastle have been offered contacts of intermediaries, while the club's main focus is still on strikers in the Premier League, reports. Okay, it looks like, that might be a worst case scenario. But Newcastle are working on the likes of Strad-Larsen and Wissa. So good news. Okay, people, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to enjoy the rest of the evening and catch you guys. I think it'll be at 10:30 today, B&R's time, unless it's a Sunday and everyone's going back to work and going back to school, which will be the case for some people next week. We go out around about 9:30 on the Sunday. But during the week, we will go around 10:30 to 11:30. Okay, people, thank you so much for keeping me company. There's still 500 of you. Please like on the way out. If you're watching the show later on the way back from work or wherever you're watching the show from, let us know what your thoughts are around the Isak situation. Do you see him coming? Do you see that Newcastle are calling Liverpool's bluff, that they'll simply would just throw a bomb on the last day of the season and say, you know what, he's not going anywhere, but we're still bringing in a couple of strikers, and we go through all of this again in January. Let's see what happens. But keep your eyes open, because it's going to be a crazy week. If you think yesterday was a crazy match, then this week will be unbelievably crazy. So anyway, people, I'm going get something to eat, freshen up. I'll see you at 10:30. Like on the way out, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care and bye for now.